Okay, everyone, so I just wanted to go over this U-try problem and check your answer and see if you got it right. So on the list, the collaborative board, they wanted to find out if your answer was correct. So the answers that were given were actually not correct. So let's see what was wrong with it. So pi over 6 is the same thing as 30 degrees. Okay, so we know that we're dealing with a 30-degree triangle, times it by the 5. So we know that this is a 150-degree angle. Okay, so if we do the unit circle or think about when we were plotting angles, okay, I know that this is 90 degrees, 180, 270, and then it wraps back around to 360. Okay, I don't really have to put all of those in, but it helps me to remember that standard position angles are drawn starting at the positive x-axis and goes around, and 150 falls into the second quadrant. Okay, so then from there, I then can find what we call the reference angle, which would be right here. Okay, and since this is 150 and then this is 180, to get this part right here, I know that this had to have been 30. Okay, I also know it just by looking right here, okay, from here, that this is a 30-degree triangle. So then once we do this, then I'm just going to set up my special right triangle that you guys should be either memorizing or have handy. So across from 30, the side is 1. Okay, the hypotenuse is 2. Remember, the hypotenuse always has to be positive. And then my adjacent side would have to be a radical 3. Now, because it's on the negative side of the x-axis, okay, all of these numbers on this x-axis right here would have to be negative. I have to put a negative in this place right here. If you forget the negative, then it's going to make all of my answers wrong. So then once I go to answer my questions over here, sine of theta, okay, is opposite over hypotenuse. So opposite over hypotenuse is going to be 1 over 2. Okay, that's pretty simple. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, which is going to be negative radical 3 over 2. Okay, negative radical 3 over 2. And then tangent is opposite over adjacent. So opposite over adjacent is 1 over negative radical 3. And then remember, we have to rationalize, giving us negative radical 3 over 3. Okay, and then if you go back to what we talked about in the very beginning of the lesson, all students take calc. Okay, all students. So we're talking about sine gets to be the positive one and everybody else is negative. So if I take a look, sine is positive and cosine is negative and tangent is negative. Okay, so if we forgot to make this a negative here, then that would not make our trig functions to have the correct sign. Okay, so there we go. Good job.